Howdy. God Almighty, this is a Sweat Equity podcast. A little low tone, a little chill today.
Not me. Fuck that.
Amped up. All right. I thought we were going, NPR style, Terry Gross.
Oh, my bad. Okay.
A little chill.
Real chill. How about that?
A little sleepy time.
This is like the third time we're trying to record this same podcast.
Dude, I got really dad mad on Friday, but I'm not even embarrassed by it. This Mevo camera is sweet, but we have some other guys that are using our conference room / studio. I do another podcast called Triple Option on Sunday mornings for college football. Shout out over there. But so everything just gets reconfigured on the mixer, and I don't know audio, and I just get flustered.
Yeah.
Especially when we try to jam this in at like, we don't really have a lunch break, but we try to jam it in for 20, 30 minutes, what would be considered someone's lunch break.
Yeah.
So
and then we spend 20 minutes fixing it, and then we don't do it. And
right.
Then,
it's all about processes. If we want to scale, if your business wants to scale, you got to figure out processes, and we will figure out how to streamline this. I think the idea is having a Windows computer set up. You get live stream, which was just bought out by Vimeo.
Cool.
That makes this Mevo camera, and then you can have several cameras going and fly graphics on and push it out to like 5 different things, because you got to manually put it on Facebook page, on YouTube page as a video. Then I got to put it on Libsyn. It takes about an hour of all the post afterward.
Believe it or not.
So, or we get an intern in here eventually.
Yes, if you want to be an intern, let us know.
Email me, law@tokaworks, law@tokaworks.com. I think I'm going to try to go to the entrepreneurship classes in the nearby colleges of USF, UT. Maybe if someone's listening to this, they want to do it virtually. We could probably figure it out. We do most of our work, even if you're...
Don't they have to, vet us in some way or something?
What do you mean?
Find out, make sure that we're a real business, for one.
Oh, yeah. Well, I have a business... I have the business book, like the nerdiest thing most people don't have, but my business attorney told me to get it. And I know.
I just feel like there's going to be like a process of paperwork and all that sort of thing that we got to do.
See, you're already creating a mental hurdle.
I'm not... No, I just want to cover all the bases.
We were talking about this just a second ago before we started about your dad and your daughter, but I'm going to tease that in a second, and I'm going to do our sponsor, which is Grasshopper. Can you make a grasshopper noise? Grasshopper. It's the entrepreneur's phone. It's a business phone app where you have a business, you got a side hustle, you're an entrepreneur, you're a flantrepreneur.
I don't like anything. Those
they're
like
not good.
Entrepreneur. We said that the last time.
It's in the copy somewhere.
Oh,
here.
It is.
But
that's cool.
Here's the deal. If you don't have a business line and you have a business and it just goes directly to your phone, unless you're like unless you're a contractor, like a house contractor, even that, maybe a handyman can get away with that. But if you're really trying to run your own business and you don't have a business line, you're just setting yourself up for losing sales or a perception that you're not a real business to people who have a better ear for that. Don't be a jabroni. Get a Grasshopper phone line. They're scalable. You can add phone lines as you go. You can share the app amongst your team members, employees. Our listeners get $50 off. 50 bones. Because you're a listener of Sweat Equity. If you go to trygrasshopper.com/sweat. That's sweat like key sweat.
I won't make any jokes about it.
Yep. I mean, trygrasshopper.com/sweat. All right. So we want to do this podcast about design feedback. This is third time the charm to do this. The first time didn't have audio. The second time we couldn't even get it working last Friday.
Was Dad mad?
And by all appearances, everything's going well on the Mevo and sounds good.
Can't wait to see what goes wrong this time.
Design feedback it's not as tough as it should be. I mean, it feels tougher when you delegate out.
Mm-hmm.
So we wanted to do this because we see this as an issue with our industry. We see this with an issue with anybody that is middle management at a huge corporation.
Too many cooks.
Too many cooks. Too many.
Let's watch that on YouTube right now.
I got 13 minutes to do that. The thing with anything creative, it's tough to give good notes on. And I try to tell all our clients, be as specific as you can be. Just attempt. Don't try to like figure out the term. Just go, I need this thing and this thing. But you had a story you were just telling me before we started.
Yeah.
About like communication. Like there's a miscommunication, and this is a good kind of metaphor for kind of work stuff.
It's not much of a story, but I was telling Law how I overheard my daughter, who's 5, and she's talking to my dad, who's 60 whatever, and they're looking at some sort of picture or something, and Avery's my daughter's trying to describe this guy, and she says, "Oh, he's right near the black guy," and my dad just glosses right over it, doesn't even say anything about it, and he doesn't know that Avery is describing the guy's shirt. She doesn't even think in those terms of
Avery, your daughter.
My daughter. She's just describing the guy's shirt. He actually happened to be black too, which is why my dad didn't pay attention to it. But it was I didn't really know who to yell at. Probably my dad.
So, and it's awkward. It's very awkward because you're worried that it could happen again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the story is a good metaphor for what we're talking about because you don't want it to happen again.
Right.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Time-wise, you don't want to be doing this. You don't want to let it linger too far. Like let that fishing line go, and then it becomes stuck in her craw, and it's hard to unchange that.
Oh, I've got tons of stuff like that I'm putting off. It's a big talk's coming.
But I mean, like, yeah, and she didn't mean anything by it.
No.
The dude happened to be black.
Yeah. Which was a good story, man.
Yeah, so
fun to hear.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I think that I like using stories or metaphors like that because that, at the end of the day, a lot of people are listening to this while they're doing something else, and that might be the thing that sticks with them about this whole episode, and they come back to it. Because in the post, the blog post for this episode, we'll put our sponsor link as well as links on how to help give you how to help this situation. So we're breaking it down. You do a lot of video editing and a lot of video producing. The creative process on that is a nightmare in a lot of ways because it's still super time consuming to edit. I think editing is secretly the hardest thing in video or film or whatever.
Can also be the most rewarding.
Yeah, but I don't think it gets the credit from the common folk out there.
That is true.
I think,
especially with comedy stuff.
Comedy is the toughest.
Comedy you can make a lot of stuff funny if you edit it correctly.
Everybody's had a bad experience with a web designer or graphic designer if they've tried to do their own business on the side, if they've tried to hire someone to do a creative project. And it's a little bit we're not going to get into like the how to hire that because that's a whole totally different podcast episode where you got to find creatives. We treat the creative project or anything that has creative elements as if it's, anything that's mathematically kind of like any process. What am I trying to say?
I don't know.
We take it seriously. How about that?
That's true.
And there's ways to kind of create rounds of design and create these kind of markers to go, okay, this is when we're going to edit and this is when we're going to do it. There's a process to it. Whereas I feel like the freelancer society, and a lot of them we use, we wrangle in feral cats, and they don't have these systems in place. So if we're doing a website or we're doing an ad campaign, we'll go, cool, you've got 2 rounds of design. We'll get this to you this day, and then you've got 3 days, 5 days to kind of go over it in red marker, and then we're going to do a Google Hangout, and we're going to go over it.
Yeah.
Set up these.
Keeping it specific, whether it's the dates
exactly
or what their issue is.
And everybody
be very specific.
And people, a lot of friends I'm working with think I have like Asperger's now because I'm just like, I'm very like da. But we've tried it and failed a few times with this, and I just looked at other people doing it better, and I just picked good ideas off of them.
Yeah, you have to.
And so for any creative, what we're going, graphic design, web design, ad creatives, logo design, any branding, identity, iconography, font schemes, color schemes, video, of course. Video is like an amalgam of all of that plus humans usually, so that makes it.
And they're all moving around.
Right, the variables are crazy with video. You just try to be specific on when you give edit rounds and all that. But my biggest, the most pragmatic advice we can give is use screen recording video.
Did you look at my list? I put that on my list. Screen Record Pro.
Perfect. So
do it. It's my new obsession.
So we're gonna link. We'll link all these because I want to give it for every device, or like the big most of them, because we can't nail all of them. I don't know how to give someone advice on an old Dell or something like that, or a Gateway, if they're still around.
The cow computer.
Yeah, but I would say I've been testing out a lot of stuff with screen recording on my phone now. If you upgrade your iPhone to iOS 11, now you don't even need an app. It's within the phone now.
Right.
So you can go to your settings, and you can go to Control Center, and that's where it'll say screen recording. It's not on by default, so you got to go do that. But you flick it up from the bottom, and it'll have a little circle with a thin circle with a fat circle for recording, and you can screen record mobile. So
I actually didn't know that until just now.
That's fine. So iOS 11 came out 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
A lot of people haven't even upgraded. I usually don't because there's usually a lot of bugs already, but I was bored, and I was like, I'm just going to upgrade this because I heard there's a lot of different things you can do.
I feel like I need to get a new phone now.
No, you can. You don't need a new phone.
No, I know, but
I'm
glad you moved on from the Clips app.
I'm still using Clips.
Yeah.
All right, so Clips is a similar thing. That's like a selfie video, but the reason I like it is because of captions.
Right.
So you're trying to hit clients back with information, or I did it. My wife was sleeping this morning, and I didn't want to wake her up. I left early, and I just said I did a Clips one at the red light, and I just said, hey, fed the dogs, baby's fed, clothed, ready to go. I'm taking them to daycare. Dog Punky already gave her a pill. Don't worry about that. And that was much easier than me trying to write all that stuff out.
Yeah, that's a
good
point.
And it got most of the text correct, and then added like subtitles. But she said it said "fuck you" on it on there, and I didn't say that.
Right.
So I was like, maybe it's getting to know me a little bit and trying to guess.
Reading your mind.
Yeah, I don't. As my dad says, I don't have a good vocabulary, so I cuss a lot. Yeah, that's an old manism.
Yeah, I do it too.
So on your phone, you've got if you iPhone upgrade to iOS 11, it's natively in your phone now. On desktop for MacBooks, same with iPads for that as well. So iOS 11 is upgrade on there. For MacBooks, you can use QuickTime, which comes with every MacBook.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason I don't love it, you go to File, New Screen Recording, when you open up QuickTime. But the only reason I don't like it is because the files are really big.
Yeah.
So I would say
you can't really email them. They're just kind of informational unless you compress the video or put it in a Dropbox and all that. You don't want to do that.
You can email and text up to like 25 megabytes.
Right.
But if you record in like 1080 HD or a really long video, you can't really.
Yeah, you only got about 5 seconds at 1080. If
you're texting an iMessage with, you have an iPhone, I've got an iPhone, we both have iMessage on. You can send fatter files, but I would say, you want to get it. It's always a good general rule of thumb for this stuff. Try to compress it as much as you can. So I won't get into the nerd tech part of that, but what's the one you found that we were looking at the other day that I was like, oh, this is good because it compresses?
It's Screen Record Pro, I believe. Sorry, it's they all have very similar names. Screen Recorder Pro, but they also have a light version. We got the paid version because we need to be able to put our logo on it. And
right.
be all cool about it. So.
Well, we're gonna try to brand some of this because if there's an opportunity to brand, we should do it. Even if it's how-to tutorials for our websites on the exit meeting, we're showing clients how to use it, distance-wise, or just this interaction that we're having. It's just, I don't know. It's not hard to do.
Yeah, it's easy.
You just got to kind of be thoughtful when we're looking at apps to use. So, Screen Recorder Pro.
Yeah.
What's that? What's the little icon look like?
It looks
what color?
Like it's red with like a red circle, and it's very nondescript actually, but it's good. The light version is all you need, more than likely. We were using ours. We got the Pro one because, like I said, the logo you could put on there. You can do more compression. There's some other things that you could do that probably won't need as a layman.
So we're not Windows based, but I do know that Windows 10, if you have that, it has a built-in tool for recording your screen. There's also browser ones that you can use that will you like Firefox over Chrome. They all have their own extensions you can add to your browser. If you're listening to this and kind of like, yeah, I should do that, just stop right now and go do it.
Yeah, just pause it.
Because this will be one of those things that I was laughing about earlier. My friend and content writer and journalist Liz Newman and I were talking this morning. She called me from her Bluetooth in her phone, and she's like, I got to get rid of that. And I was like, yeah, that'll be one of those things you won't get rid of for like 6 months. Like, like it sounded terrible on the phone to talk to her.
Yeah, they're horrible.
So, do it now kind of thing.
Right.
Think about it, write it down, whatever you're doing. If you're jogging, try to remember it. OBS is kind of a better way to do. It's software that works on MacBooks, Mac Air or whatever, and Windows computers that a lot of nerds use for video game streaming on Twitch. Yeah. So for those unaware, there's professional video gamers that are making bank on twitch.tv, and OBS is the one they use so they can record the screen and them. And their we'll probably get to that with a little bit more of these tutorials and maybe even this podcast. So it's a little bit, we can record the screen so people can see what we're seeing in real time if we're teaching people stuff.
In terms of design feedback, though, we're talking if you're recording your screen, you can go on and say, I don't know what this means, and you can move your cursor around and point to it, and then we can understand what you're talking about, rather than if you go to the middle of the page and then you go down a little bit and that thing.
Right.
It's specific. Like I said before, you got to be able to be specific.
And be as specific as you can, even if it takes you a couple sentences to figure it out. That's the big thing is, it's the terminology. We know not everybody knows it, and we incorrectly use some of it sometimes.
I make up my own sometimes.
Well, because the way there's no college really to go to for digital services. So, I mean, you can go for some of it, but there's no standardized way of talking about a lot of these services like video editing, graphic design, and there is. It's up at the upper echelon where you're doing high production stuff and only working with other people in the business.
Yeah.
Where they know that lingo.
And a big part of this business, I think, is people trying to create their own stuff anyways, where it's just like, we're going to call it this time. And it's like just a tweak different from what you're used to. And now it's got a whole new name you got to learn. And that sucks.
The other thing I say is, give me an example of what you're talking about too. If you can try to get as specific as you can. I want this website design. I want this image kind of up here, but I want it kind of wide, and I want it. They don't know how to say, I need the photo to have an overlay so the text can read on top of it, but I want it to be out of focus. Try to find that photo or that website or
something similar,
one-to-one example. What would you do if you had a house contractor, right?
Right.
You basically show them like. You don't know the terminology with them or a plumber or whatever, but you would go, oh, it's like this, or you'd find a YouTube video, oh, something like that.
Right.
So try to apply that to the digital services, and that'll reduce a lot of, or creative services, I should say, and that'll reduce a lot of frustration.
Yeah, which saves us time, which saves you money.
Money, time, and yeah, it's counterintuitive for us to do this. We should want to try to cap. If we were a morally kind of greedy company, we would try
single.
we would try to capitalize on people not knowing this.
Right.
But our thing is the other way around. We want to bring customer service to these faceless kind of services. And, honestly, a lot of these podcast episodes come out of like, hey, this is something we should address because I feel a lot of clients getting frustrated, or a lot of people I talk to don't know what this is. And that's why these mini episodes are pretty great.
Yeah. And we pass these on to clients too. It's not like we're just doing this for fun to see ourselves do it. It's informational that they can kind of listen in. I mean, what was
other thing I've been doing is for video chat with a client or with team members, a free way to grab that video, because I want to do it with a client. I'm talking to a client, but you're busy working, and you have to see it later because you're going to be working on the project, mm-hmm. right? So I want to have that video so you can look at it whenever you can, like your own kind of internal podcast of sorts.
Right.
The way you do that is get a YouTube channel going, and now Google Hangout. This is the free way to do it. Google Hangout is migrating over to YouTube Live. Google likes to make it. They like to switch all the names of everything up.
Like we were just talking about. Assholes want to rule the world.
So, no, we like them. We can't publicly say anything like that.
Kill me with a computer, Google, please.
So, what we want to do is the Google Hangouts on air, what used to be that, where you could capture the video. Now you got to go through YouTube, create a YouTube event. So create a channel, go to like Creator Studio, I think, and then you can set an event, and it'll have the option to go do a quick start Google Hangout on air, make that video private, and then no one can see it but you and whoever you give access to it.
Right. Make videos of your privates.
So you can have a private chat and then be able to send it out to your team members later for them to look at their leisure.
Yeah. There's something about video that it saves the miscommunications cut down when there's video. For whatever reason, if you can see somebody talking and you can kind of see their expressions, it helps a ton.
Yeah, that's the Clips app. I don't want to do a selfie video. I think it's gross. It feels very narcissistic. But I've asked people feedback the last couple of weeks. Hey, how did you like that? Is that better? Is that a better way? Because we're ships in the night a lot of the time, and they're like, no, that was way better. That's way better than text or email. You lose a lot of context in email and text too. So I don't try to write jokes.
Yeah. I mean, we're both getting there where it's just like we can't even care about looking weird on the thing or coming across weird or whatever. It's just we just got to do it because it's maximizing our time. It's
super efficient.
To listen to this.
And then the other thing I was going to try to throw out there, and this is more for the listeners if they've got a good idea. We want to figure out it's good for our podcast, how to transcribe video or audio files to text. I was trying to figure this out Sunday because this is what I do for fun while watching NFL and my baby. Mm-hmm. How to do it in Premiere Pro, and I wasted probably an hour or two until I read, it's not in Premiere Pro, the newest version. You got to go to earlier ones to do analyze content.
Yeah, that sounds like a red flag.
But I don't like Adobe products that much on desktop because they're heavy. They're slow. It just takes forever. They're confusing kind of interface for
Talking about using the Creative Suite deal?
Yeah, or just even before the Creative Cloud, all that stuff came out. Adobe products are just always like heavy. It's just they lag. So you can do it in Premiere Pro. I just want everything to kind of transcribe out. I watched a few YouTube videos. You could set this episode and hold it down on Google Docs and it'll do it, but I'm not doing that. I want to be able to just upload it and then walk away for an hour and come back, and most of it's typed out. The reason is we want to put this as a blog post. We want to put all that description below. That'll help our SEO too.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is, I know this from an advertising standpoint, having captions in your video, you probably need them because only like 30-40% of people have their audio turned on or have headphones.
Right.
That's why Facebook pushes a lot of people to have captions. Same with YouTube. So in a similar respect, you know, the client or the team member might be looking at this when they're, you know,
maybe not
in the
supposed
subway
to be,
or something like that.
Yeah,
or
somewhere
that,
you can't blast your audio.
or in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
Yeah.
You know, phones are great for that. So catching up on emails, social media, all that stuff. So if we could have a transcription push out with the video so they digest it in any way they want to, and anything content-wise we're making, we get that part as well. That'd be huge.
Yeah, we've had a surprisingly tough time figuring this out. I mean,
well, we don't want to pay for Dragon.
Yeah.
Because the good version's like $300, and then I don't
One time?
I think you got to pay for like the business enterprise version to really get it for what we need it for. You can do Evernote, but that's only 30 seconds if you do command like F or something.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a way to do it. That's why I'm putting it out there. I feel like there's something out there.
Somebody tell us how to do it. Just do it.
And
please.
We've done a basic research on it, but I want to save a lot of time. I see my pediatrician. She doesn't type anything in. She literally walks with her rolling desk up and down the hallway and records in her Dragon Dictate for like doctors or something like that.
Right, and you said that was through an iPad. Is that right? This is the second time we've talked about this.
Yeah, well, I find it. Talk about super time saver. She can see more patients because she does that.
Yeah, no, it's a good idea.
Think of how long it takes for you to type or do a text.
Yeah, no, we need it.
Cost benefits it way outweighs it. All right, that's it for today. I appreciate y'all listening. Give us 5 stars on iTunes. Rate, review. So if you give a 5-star, like write a little something nice.
Yeah,
that actually does help. That's part of the cocktail that gets us up. The mixed cocktail that gets us up the rankings. Subscribe 1, 5-star us. That's 2,
mm-hmm.
And then 3 is like
write something.
Write a little something.
Oh, I computer.
This is great. I learned a little something.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't remember that, share it with a friend. Sharing's caring, man. You know, like sharing this out with your friend that's trying to do their own thing. That's huge. What else am I missing? Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Like the Facebook page, which we might merge with our business page because, you know, it just makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else I'm missing?
Go to tocoworks.com, all that stuff.
Yep.
We're
going to revamp it.
Stuff.
Let's see if we can do it in 2 weeks.
Sure, let's do it.
You think we can?
Revamp.
All
yes.
Right. We got to impress, we got a big meeting. We want to impress the client, and we need to do it anyway. So.
Yeah.
All right. Tampa Pig Jig, if you're in Tampa, into the October, hit it up. Peace.